Hey patrons, to hell with all the boring talking this time. This time, we're just gonna listen to some tunes and party. Grab some alcohol or whatever intoxicant you prefer. Hell yeah, gravity sucks, always keeping us down. We should find some way to take it down. Hate to interrupt you, but that's the Freemason logo. I thought we were just gonna rock out for a few minutes, but suddenly here we are at conspiracy level 10 and you haven't even started singing yet. This sucks.
I remember when I learned in school about gravity. It was so cool.
Oh my god. Never do that again. Let me handle the popped collar thing, okay? And I'll let you handle the sleeveless shirt situation. By the way, it'd look a lot cooler if you bought shirts with sleeves and then you cut the sleeves off. But it's your thing, sorry.
I had a teacher that knew it all. She taught me how water could stick to a ball, how buildings stick to the underside of a ball that spins like a carousel ride.
You know, I want to stay mad about you getting a little too close to the nerve with that whole Freemason conspiracy thing, but with music like that, how can I? That's got some serious groove, man. Makes me want to jump up and square dance. Oh, about the ball thing, though, I doubt your teacher told you the buildings stick to the underside of the ball, considering the whole point of gravity is that down means towards the center of the earth, so there is no underside. Never mind, just go on. I'm here to rock out, not do remedial physics.
Man, it all sounded crazy to me, but I love learning about gravity.
If it sounded so crazy to you, why'd you love it so much? Shouldn't you have been like, this sounds stupid?
I couldn't wait to tell my dad about the amazing day that I had. He picked me up, I was bursting with pride. He opened up the door and I jumped inside. He smiled at me and said, "How was your day?" I said, "Dad, I was blown away."
Wow, you were a small kid. Wait a second, are you barefoot? You are, you're barefoot through this whole video, aren't you? God damn, man, put some shoes on. Cowboy boots might complete the look, or maybe if you want to get a little more everyman with it, you could do work boots. Wait, are you one of those weirdos from that Barefoot is Legal Facebook page? You know what, let's look at that for a while instead, because this music's kind of getting on my nerves. Bare feet are healthy, fun, great for kids, and perfectly legal globally. Get the facts. barefootislegal.org. Free Market 101. We as customers have the final say in where we spend money. If one store is not accepting money that day because of the way you look, 25 other stores will line up to take your money. This should be completely normal. The Insanity Ride at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas is on top of one of the tallest points in the USA. Requires you to keep your flip-flops on at all time because you can fall and hurt your feet. Taken from an actual dress code manual. Because our office has filing cabinets, all open-toed shoes must be worn with nylons. And we're the crazy ones? Would you go barefoot in public if it was more accepted? The #1 reason people do not go barefoot in public? Fear of getting yelled at or mocked. You know what, I think they're overhyping it a little bit, because I mean, this is mostly just businesses covering their asses. And this really isn't a big deal, but they've kinda got a point. And I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. From now on, I'm a barefoot activism channel. I'm going over to my Google settings to change my name to Barefootict right now. On second thought, there's probably not as big of an audience for that as I would like there to be. Okay, happy medium. I'll just keep showing off this weird barefoot redneck for a while.
I learned about this magical thing, but it's kinda got my head in the spin. I learned about this Newton guy. When an apple fell on his head, he surmised that there must be a force that's pulling it down, and everything's being sucked to the ground.
Newton apparently did talk about being inspired by an apple falling from a tree, but there's no indication that the story of it falling on his head is anything but an exaggeration.
A force that sticks us all to this ball. The people, the buildings, the oceans and all. So it was written in history. Newton had discovered gravity. Well, he just looked at me and said, "Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, 'cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids."
Why are you always chewing like that? If you think it makes you look cool, it doesn't. It makes you look like a rabbit. But anyway, now we've reached the main point of the song. And it's not really an argument against gravity or even really a plea for others not to believe in it, at least not explicitly. No, it's just a statement about how this guy's dad said it's dumb and so he thinks it's dumb too. Well, Flat Earth Man, it seems there are a lot of conspiracy theorists who think this is a good point, but I just can't help but point out that your dad's opinion on anything is completely irrelevant to everything, which I guess makes your entire song completely irrelevant, except maybe among the crowd who thinks Daddy Says is an actual argument.
Well, my dad felt a little bit sad for me when I mentioned that word gravity. He said, have a little independent thought, question what you've just been taught. I mean, how the hell could a ball that spins make a force so strong that sucks everything in? Yet birds and insects fly unaffected. Gravity must be so selective.
Well, in case anyone had any lingering doubts why I decided to make a video about this, here it is. I'll give you a second to dislodge your head from your desk. All done? Good. Hopefully there wasn't too much damage. So yeah, this is why, as an adult, you shouldn't believe things about science just because Daddy told you so after school one time when you were still just a tiny, shrunken, bearded man with a backpack. Now, I'm going to be more charitable than some people might be, and I'm not going to assume that you meant that the spin of the Earth is what creates gravity. I have heard flat earthers say that before, so I wouldn't be too shocked, but you weren't real precise about the relevance of the spin to gravity, so I'm going to give you some credit and assume you meant the centrifugal force from the spinning would counteract any inward pull from gravity or a similar force. But even with that credit granted, your claim that insects and birds fly unaffected by gravity is painfully stupid. Apparently you somehow never realized before that insects and birds only manage to fly if they have wings. If those wings stop counteracting the pull of gravity, it's going to become real apparent real soon that those animals are just as affected by it as everything else. I honestly have no idea why I'm even bothering to say this, because everyone watching this knows what wings are. At least at the most basic level of they pull you up so you don't fall down. But apparently that still needed to be explained to you, or sorry, to your dad.
Think about it logically.
Logically. And he said that right after saying that birds and insects are unaffected by whatever pulls everything else down. Look, even if gravity were not the correct explanation for why things fall, things still fall. So if your complaint is that whatever makes things fall acts selectively because it apparently doesn't affect birds and insects, well, that applies just as well to any alternative hypothesis that you have. If you were a thinking man, that might give you a moment's pause about the logic of your argument.
Cause that don't make no sense to me.
I know, Daddy. And that's why this song here just isn't very compelling. Although an awful lot of people about as smart as your daddy seems to be seem to disagree with that assessment. Between all the mini uploads of your video on YouTube, you've probably got a couple 100,000 views on this, and the like to dislike ratio is overwhelmingly positive. So hey, the people have spoken. Maybe I'm just a big old dummy and birds really are totally unaffected by gravity.
You gotta question all those preachers preach, question all those teachers teach. You see, gravity is just a bunch of bull. That Newton guy's just a lying fool. These guys like Newton shouldn't be trusted. They're free Masonic lies have been busted.
So this one time, in the checkout line at the grocery store, a Freemason told me that he saw a bird fall out of the sky when it stopped using its wings. So I socked him right in the jaw right then and there and told him to listen to the preachers of God instead of the Illuminati preachers of gravity. And he fell down on the floor and I said, hey, if the earth spins, you should have gone flying into space right now, Satanist. And then everybody applauded, and Jesus himself was so impressed with me that he came down to the Walmart and bought me a gift card. True story.
In fact, my boy, it's density, and that's why things fall down, you see. An object always falls to the ground if it's heavier than the air that surrounds. If it's lighter than air, then it'll rise. It'll keep on floating up to the skies. That's what's known as buoyancy, and that makes more sense than gravity.
Oh yeah? Then why do birds and insects fly unaffected by buoyancy? They're heavier than air, so they should be smushed flat on the ground at all times. Buoyancy must be selective. Think about it logically, cause that don't make no sense to me. Anyway, I'm unclear on exactly how you think buoyancy works without there being any pull on objects in the downward direction. Without gravity, or at least something that operates equivalently to it to define an up and down direction, that up and down directionality that you associate with buoyancy doesn't exist. You wouldn't see substances nicely separating themselves into layers of density, you'd just see them floating around all over the place, because there would be no up for lighter things to float into, or down for heavier ones to fall into. So if you tripped and fell, you could just as easily fall sideways along the ground, or away from the ground, or really anywhere. Without some external force to define what's down, the only reason objects would consistently fall down is that they just kind of felt like it, and somehow managed to propel themselves in that direction. Even in a vacuum where there's no air and buoyancy differences make no sense. Buoyancy can't even start to account for why objects of completely different densities and shapes accelerate toward the ground at the same rate no matter their density. You know, I like some low-hanging fruit sometimes, but this fruit might be hanging a little low even for me.
He said, I'm sorry, son, for bursting your bubble, but that kind of thinking can get you in trouble. These theories they try to put in your head, it's all just pseudoscience, he said.
Yeah, Dad, your real science has so many less holes as an explanation, even though it's missing the most critical component it needs, which is what makes objects act like there's a definite up and down direction, and why objects lighter than air should go in the up direction and the heavier ones in the down direction. Just pointing to density does not explain that.
They'll have you believing in all kinds of crap. That gravity nonsense belongs in the trash. Believe me when I say to you, there ain't no gravity and that's the truth.
Best argument in the whole video. Just believe me, son.
Well, my daddy made me think that day. He made me think in a different way. I did some thinking for myself. I put that theory back on the shelf.
Sounds to me more like your dad told you not to think and to mindlessly listen to and believe him instead of your teachers. But hey, what do I know? I wasn't there. Either way, I'm all for questioning what you're told, including gravity, but I do have to question the quality of your thinking if you think it's buoyancy, and buoyancy works because there just sort of is an up and down, and objects have weight without any force to make it that way. Sounds kinda half-baked, but I guess I'm just a Freemason for thinking in a different way from you, sorry.
That gravity crap is indoctrination, not truthful, trusted information.
Those things are not mutually exclusive, you know. True information can be taught through indoctrination or ways that can be compared to it. And I absolutely agree with you that some science classes are taught really badly. Sit down, listen to what I tell you, write the correct answer on the test, get out. That's not a good way to conduct a science education, because kids should be learning how to test ideas themselves and learn through direct experience how the methods of science lead to reliable conclusions. Say, here's a good one. They could drop a feather and a golf ball in a vacuum chamber and utterly annihilate your buoyancy hypothesis themselves. That'd be a good experiment. If you want to support that kind of science education, I'm right there with you, man.
People need to wake up and see there ain't no such thing as gravity. Time now. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe cause a theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. One more time now.
No, not one more time now. I gotta admit, your chorus is pretty catchy, but this isn't the Flat Earth Man show, okay? Anyway, patrons, I got another video coming up for you soon. I got a little bit behind on them, but I'm getting all caught up now. Thanks a bunch for your continued support. I'll see you real soon.